Okay, let me ask you something. Does this sound familiar? You've got this great idea, maybe traveling somewhere amazing or finally starting that side business.
Yeah, those big plans we all have.
Exactly. And then somehow the year just kind of vanishes. And you look back and think, what did I actually do? Watched a lot of games, maybe fell down an anime rabbit hole.
Oh, absolutely. That feeling of time just slipping away while we're busy with, well, other things. It's super common.
Well, that's exactly what we're tackling in today's deep dive. We're digging into why this happens based on the book Oh, Eller Templates, roughly. Because People Die So Quickly, The Identity and How to Defeat the Time-Eating Monster by Mai Satomai.
Right, and it was summed up really well by the YouTube channel 3, so those are our sources today.
And our focus really is to get under the skin of why we often get caught up in, let's say, the trivial stuff instead of chasing what really feels meaningful to us. Right. Precisely. And the core argument from the sources is kind of stark. A lot of us waste time simply because we haven't actually figured out what truly matters to us. We haven't identified it.
So, the goal for this session, for you listening, is to walk away with some real practical insights. We want to help you see maybe why this cycle happens.
Yeah, and hopefully by the end, you'll have a clear picture of your own priorities and, crucially, how to start actually spending your time on them, leading to, a more fulfilling life.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so first big reason the sources point to. Why do we put off the important stuff? It's pretty deep. It's about facing our own mortality, or rather not facing it.
We tend to operate day to day almost as if time's infinite, right? We push the thought of, well, the end away.
And that leads to this, oh, I'll do it later mindset. That trip, next year, that side project, maybe when things calm down, there's always tomorrow, supposedly.
Exactly. It's like this unconscious avoidance. And the summary mentioned some interesting research, didn't it, from Iran?
Yeah, an Iranian university study. It suggested people often view their own death as something impersonal. Like it happens to other people, but is way off in the distance for them.
That's such a key point.
Yeah.
The gap between intellectually knowing life is finite, we all know that, and emotionally feeling it.
Right. It feels abstract, not real, not urgent.
And that emotional distance makes it so much easier to just postpone the hard stuff.
Yeah.
The things that might actually be really rewarding, but feel challenging.
And it's not just theory. The summary brought up Bronnie Ware, the palliative care nurse.
Ah, yes. Her work on the regrets of the dying. Very powerful stuff.
Super powerful. And two regrets really stood out. Not living a life true to yourself and working too much. Just, oof.
Those regrets really highlight the cost, don't they? The cost of not prioritizing what genuinely resonates. People aren't wishing they'd scrolled more social media, are they?
Definitely not. They're thinking about the untaken paths, the passions ignored, the time not spent with people they cared about.
So here's the pivot. The sources suggest that actually acknowledging our limited time, really internalizing it, not just intellectually but emotionally, can be a huge motivator.
How so? Like it makes things urgent.
Precisely. It shifts the focus from this vague someday to the reality of now. It forces you to ask, is this really how I want to spend my limited time? It adds weight to your choices.
Okay, that makes sense. Acknowledging the limit makes the time we do have feel more precious.
Exactly. It injects that necessary urgency.
But it's not just about mortality, right? The sources mention other things holding us back, like fear of loneliness and avoiding responsibility.
Yes, those are the next big pieces. Let's talk about loneliness first. That fear can be a major roadblock.
How do you mean?
Well, think about big life changes. Moving to a new city alone, traveling solo, starting a business all by yourself. If you're deeply afraid of being isolated, those things feel terrifying.
Yeah, I can see that. And the summary had that example, being afraid to say what you really feel in a relationship or ask a tough question because you might push someone away.
Right. It's like choosing to go along with something you don't even want to do, just to avoid being alone or creating friction. You sacrifice what you want for belonging.
Like going on that awful theme park ride everyone else wants to go on, even though you hate roller coasters.
That's a perfect analogy. We need connection. It's fundamental. But when that fear of losing connection dictates everything, we end up compromising our own goals and desires. Fitting in becomes more important than being authentic.
Okay, and then there's the responsibility piece,
Yeah.
avoiding it. That one felt familiar.
It's about shying away from those big decisions, the ones that carry real weight and consequences. Where you're really accountable.
Like what? Getting married, Having kids.
Exactly. Or buying a house, making big investments, even major career shifts like going freelance or launching your own thing. These aren't small choices. They come with serious responsibility.
And so it's easier sometimes to just stick with what's safe, even if it's not that fulfilling.
Precisely. You choose the path of least resistance, the comfortable option, to avoid the potential stress and the weight of being the one in charge, the one responsible if things go sideways.
So if you put it all together, avoiding death gives you fake infinite time, fear of loneliness makes you prioritize others' wants, and avoiding responsibility keeps you in your comfort zone.
And the result? You postpone the important, maybe scary, but meaningful actions, and your time gets filled up with, well, lesser things, distractions, trivialities.
Right. Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem, essentially. We're avoiding these big life truths. What's the solution offered by the sources?
It boils down to consciously accepting these things, accepting death, loneliness, and responsibility as just part of life, natural parts of the human condition.
That sounds intense, but maybe necessary.
The idea is that facing them head on instead of running from them can actually shift your perspective dramatically. It helps you see clearly what your real priorities should be.
So acknowledging the limits, the potential solitude, the weight of choices, it brings clarity.
Yes, remarkable clarity sometimes. When you know your time is finite, that you walk your path ultimately alone, and that your choices are yours to own, it cuts through the noise. It helps you zero in on what truly matters to you.
And there was that practical exercise mentioned, right? Just writing things down.
Yeah, simple but potentially powerful. Writing down, people die, people are alone, and people are responsible.
Just putting it on paper makes it more tangible, less abstract.
Exactly. It takes it out of the back of your mind and puts it right in front of you. Makes you confront it directly.
Okay, but I can see someone listening thinking, won't constantly thinking about death and loneliness just make me anxious or depressed? That was raised in the summary too, wasn't it?
Absolutely, and that's a really important point. The goal isn't to become morbid or constantly dwell on these heavy ideas.
So when do you focus on them?
The suggestion is to bring these realities into focus, specifically when you're making big, important, courageous decisions. Those moments when the illusion of endless time or the fear of stepping out is strongest.
Ah, okay. So it's a tool for specific, high-stakes choices, not a constant state of mind. You use it strategically to cut through the usual avoidance patterns.
Precisely. It's about using these truths to anchor your significant life choices in reality.
That makes more sense. Okay, but what if you're listening and thinking, fine, I accept these things, but I honestly have no idea what actually matters to me? That's a real issue for people.
A very real and common one. And the sources tackle this head on. They talk about identifying your personal core values. Think of them as your internal compass for using time well.
Right, your values guide you. And there were two methods suggested for figuring them out based on someone called Ira Harris. First one involves looking back at hard times.
Yeah, reflecting on difficult past experiences. The idea is to think back to the really challenging periods in your life.
Like what kind of things?
Could be anything significant. Bullying, illness, maybe feeling unloved, major failures, losing someone, financial hardship, addiction, anything that really tested you.
Okay, got it. So you recall that time, then what?
Then you ask yourself, in the midst of that difficulty, what felt fundamentally important? What did you realize you truly needed or valued?
The summary gave the example of someone ill really valuing health afterwards. Makes sense.
Exactly. Adversity has a way of stripping things down to the essentials. It shows you what you cling to, what truly sustains you. Honesty, resilience, connection, health. Whatever it was.
Okay, that's one method. What was the other? Something about childhood.
Yes, remembering childhood passions. This one's often a bit more joyful to explore.
So thinking back to what you loved doing as a kid.
Totally. What activities just completely absorb you? Things you did for hours, lost track of time, never got doored.
Like the summary mentioned. Fighting games. Or Minecraft. It could be anything, really. Building forts, drawing, playing make-believe.
Right. And the key question is why? What was it about that activity that you loved?
So for the fighting games, maybe it was the competition, the strategy, getting better.
Could be, or connection with friends playing together. For Minecraft, maybe it was the creativity, the freedom, building something unique.
Ah, I see. So the feeling or the value behind the activity is the clue.
Exactly. Those underlying drivers, growth, mastery, connection, creativity, freedom, discovery, they often point directly to your core values, things that are still deeply important to you now, even if you don't engage in that specific childhood activity anymore.
So reflecting on past struggles and past joys gives you clues to these core values like health or creativity or independence.
Yes. It helps you build a picture of what genuinely motivates and satisfies you at a fundamental level.
Okay, so let's say you've done that reflection. You have a better sense of your values, maybe health, creativity, connection. What's next? Values are still a bit abstract.
That's the crucial next step. Values are the compass, but you need a destination. You need to translate those abstract values into concrete, tangible goals. What does that value look like in practice?
Okay, let's take health or good physical condition. How does that become a goal? The summary had examples.
Right. It can become specific goals like, I consistently get 7-8 hours of quality sleep, or my digestion is regular and comfortable, or I feel mentally clear and focused most days. These are observable outcomes.
Measurable, almost.
Or take financial independence. The summary's example was quite specific.
Mm-hmm.
Earn X amount per month, working Y hours per day, doing enjoyable work like writing. That paints a very clear picture.
It does. And feeling good about oneself, how do you make that concrete?
The source suggested maybe translating it to something like maintaining a well-kept appearance, taking care with clothes, grooming. It's about defining what that abstract feeling looks like for you, visualizing that ideal state.
Got it. Values, concrete goals. So now you know where you're generally heading and what the destination looks like. What's the step after that? How do you actually get there day to day?
This is where the rubber meets the road. You translate those goals into daily actions, specifically creating to-do lists, and maybe even more importantly, to-don't-do lists.
The don'ts. Okay, let's use those examples again. Goal: 7-8 hours sleep, healthy eating, 10K steps. What's the daily to-do?
Pretty straightforward, right? Be in bed by 11 p.m. Plan Pret healthy meals. Schedule a 45-minute walk. And for that writing income goal, dedicate 3-4 hours to focused writing between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. Very specific.
And the to-don't-do list, how does that work?
It's about identifying things that actively sabotage your goals. So for health, maybe it's don't drink alcohol on weeknights, or don't agree to late social things that mess up sleep. For the writing goal, maybe don't do unnecessary overtime at the main job, or don't check email during writing blocks.
So you're actively protecting the time and energy needed for your goals.
Exactly. And the summary also mentioned proactively scheduling stuff you need to do, but might forget, like booking that haircut or dentist appointment if feeling good about yourself involves regular maintenance. Make it non-negotiable.
It's about being intentional with your calendar, essentially, but not rigid, right?
Yeah.
You still need breaks.
Oh, absolutely. This isn't about burnout. It's about conscious allocation of time and energy. Breaks are essential. The key is choosing how you spend your time, including rest, rather than letting it just happen.
And again, the advice is to write these lists down.
Yes, writing makes it real. It's a commitment device. A daily reminder.
Okay, so values, goals, daily do's and don'ts. Are we done then? Is that the system?
Almost. There's one more crucial piece. Review and adjustment. Because, well, we change.
How do you mean?
Your values and goals aren't set in stone. Think about it. Your taste in music changes. Hobbies change over time, right? What felt vital at 20 might not at 40. The summary used an example like changing tastes in watches.
So that feeling of maybe restlessness or like what you're doing doesn't quite fit anymore, that's a signal.
Exactly. If you start feeling uncomfortable or like your daily actions are out of sync with how you feel inside, that's your cue to pause and reevaluate. Is the value still the same? Is the goal still right? Does the action plan need tweaking?
It's like your internal compass needs recalibrating, as you said earlier.
Those feelings are valuable feedback. They tell you something might be off, that your path might need adjusting based on your growth or changing circumstances.
And the sources recommend doing this regularly, like weekly.
Ideally, yes. The book apparently suggests a weekly review. Just check in. Are my actions this week aligned with my stated values and goals? What felt good? What felt off? What needs to change for next week? It keeps you on track, or helps you consciously change track.
So it's an ongoing process, not a one-off exercise.
Definitely. It prevents you from just drifting back into old patterns without realizing it. And again, writing things down during this review reflections, adjustments, is really helpful for clarity.
Okay, wow. That's quite a framework. Let's try and sum up the key takeaways from this whole deep dive. How do we stop wasting time and live more intentionally?
Well, the core problem we identified is that people often spend their limited time on unimportant things that don't really add value or meaning.
And the reasons behind that often involve unconsciously avoiding some big truths. the reality of death, the potential for loneliness, and the weight of personal responsibility.
Right. And the solution starts with consciously accepting those realities. Then, taking the time to figure out your personal core values, looking at past challenges and childhood joys can help there.
Then, translate those values into concrete visual